Hello, my name is India and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the best books that I read in 2024. We're just gonna get into it with some honorable mentions, and Eleanor is going to join us, which is gonna make things a little complicated. First up, I have Gingerbread by Helen Oyeyemi. This is a magical, fantastical, kind of fairy tale story about a mother and daughter who live in modern day Britain, and the mother is recounting the land that she is from, and we never really know if this is a real place or not. It's kind of this fantastical, magical place. I know I've said that already to describe this book, but I really enjoy Helen Oyeyemi's writing. I am going to read everything that she's put out. I find that she manages to write in a really classic way that's also very modern. So it feels really timeless, but contemporary at the same time. But I really enjoyed that. Then I read The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emezi. This is about the death of Vivek Oji. This is not what I expected from this book. I don't know what it was that I was expecting, but I knew that this book had so much hype, so much love, and what I found in the book was this exploration of care and love and identity, and yeah, was just really well done. Again, Akwaeke Emezi is an author who I'm gonna read all their stuff. Like, I'm just going to. And then last of my honorable mentions is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This book is very tender. I feel like that's like stereotypical to say, but this book is tender. This book explores this queerness and diasporic storytelling, and really threads a just like beautiful and like heartstring pulling story. Okay, now that the honorable mentions are out of the way, we're gonna go loosely backwards. So working up to my most favorite books of the year. Again, this is kind of a loose ordering. Let's just go with it. First up, we have most of these books are books that I do not own, which I find interesting. So I read a lot of them either audiobook, ebook, checked out from work. So yeah, only one of them was checked out from work, and it's this one. It's Fox 8 by George Saunders. This is about a fox who goes on an adventure and discovers a mall. And he's like, guys, I discovered a mall. It's so cool. And he goes back and he tells his fox family, clan, fox group. And it is about how animals make sense of the human world, or this imagining of how an animal would make sense of the human world, and how humans change the animal world. And it just was really funny and written in a very humorous way, because it's written from the point of view of a fox. So like words are misspelled, and the fox doesn't know the names of certain things. And I found it very fun and charming. Then, I don't know what this series is called, but it is House of Shadows and House of Secrets by Darcy Coates. This is cozy horror, or at least like that's what Darcy Coates is known for writing, like cozy horror. And this is like historical romance horror. It is about this haunted house that these newlyweds are found in. There's this man who marries this woman, and then he's called back to his estate, and initially, I forget if it's, I'm like blending the two books together, and I'm forgetting if it's that he like forbids her from coming but she comes anyway, or if it's something else. But they're dealing with this haunted estate, and some haunted stuff is happening. I found this gripping, I found this compelling. It was so fun to read and scary. I read them back to back, I'm pretty sure, and just had such a fun time with these books. Another book series that I had such a fun time reading is either, because it has two names, I think. It's either called the Love Bathhouse series or it's called the Monstrous Matches series. If I'm mistaken, let me know. But this is the series by Lillian Lark. Starts with Stalked by the Kraken and progresses. And my two favorites, I couldn't just pick one. My two favorites are Stalked by the Kraken and Deceived by the Gargoyles. I had so much fun reading these books. They were my first dip into monster romance, and I'm just finding that I'm having such a fun time reading monsters and humans doing their thing. Lillian Lark's writing is absurd and lovely, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan. And that's all I have to say about that. Stalked by the Kraken follows our matchmaker, Rose, and this Kraken, and they get a little bit of a romance situation going on. Obviously, it's a romance. And then Deceived by the Gargoyles is about our main character, whose name I've forgotten, who starts dating this gargoyle, and he goes home to his mates and does not tell them that he is seeking another mate. Scandalous. So anyway, that's what those are about. Oh, I'm scaring my cats. Moving on, next on the list is Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is the third book in the, what is this series called? It's the Something Tomb series. It starts with Gideon the Ninth. It's iconic. Nona was such an interesting character. This book is a headache to figure out, but in like a good way. It's like a good headache. That may not be the best way to sell this. This book is, like all of Tamsin Muir's books, confusing, and I could not make sense of most of it, and I was like constantly texting one of my coworkers being like, I think that this is what's going on, but I'm not entirely sure. Can you confirm? No? Okay. I already said I love Nona as a character. Her innocence and excitement and love for the world that is like messed up is just really great, and I can't read and I can't wait to continue reading in the series. Then one of the most recent ones, I finished listening to the audiobook of The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and this is as good as everyone says it is. Why did it take me so long to read it? This is about Blue, who is the daughter and like lives in a house of women psychics. And it also follows these 4 boys who go to this all-boys school. They are known as the Raven Boys. And it's about them and Blue and the search for the grave or the tomb or the body of an ancient Welsh king. This, so well written. So well written. So compelling. It was one of those things that I was like looking forward to my commute so that I could read it, which is not something I experience often, and is the sign of a good audiobook for me. Which leads us into another good audiobook, Madwoman by Chelsea Beaker. This came out this year and is about our main character, who is a stay-at-home mom and like is kind of looking for a nanny so that she can focus on writing her book, or she can focus on like doing her own thing and following her own path. She's very much this like affluent woman entrenched in like health and wellness, and she becomes obsessed with this younger woman and kind of ends up stalking her and asking her to be the nanny for her children. And then things just spiral a bit. We learn about the backstory of our main character and how things are not as they seem, and how everyone is hiding something. And yeah, it was good. It was really compelling and I really enjoyed it. Then we have a book that I've recommended to multiple people, How Far the Light Reaches by Sabrina Imbler. This fits into like one of my favorite genres, which is nonfiction. Hold on. Which is scientific nonfiction that blends memoir with the author's like field of expertise. So Sabrina Imbler is a marine biologist, I want to say. Studies and has a wealth of knowledge about deep sea creatures, and writes about these creatures or these phenomena in deep seas, and how they relate to the human experience and how they relate to their own experience of gender and race and queerness, and just like really rich essays. I just love books that marry someone's like, yeah, their field of study, their interest, the thing that they are passionate about or experts in, with their own life, and like how they use that knowledge to make sense of their own life. I just think it's really great. Then I read The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell, who also wrote Hamnet. The Marriage Portrait is about Lucrezia de Medici, who marries this man in Italy, right? Yes. And stuff happens. I love historical fiction. I especially love historical fiction that's got a bit of a feminist take, or simply that just like tells and shines light on the stories of women. Hello? I also love historical fiction that showcases a woman as an artist. We get these little scenes of Lucrezia painting, and painting these miniatures. Stunning, great, I loved those. But the book opens with essentially her saying, like, my husband's gonna kill me. This is the night that my husband is going to kill me and poison me. And we get kind of two timelines of that night and her living and like chronicling what happens, and then her past and like her youth and everything that led up to that night. Super well done. Love successful dual timelines. It also was like really great to read this and think about the poem The Duchess, which I think is by Robert Browning, but I may be mistaken. Yeah, loved. I really want to pick up her book that's like something Heat Wave. I forget what it's called, but yeah. Then we have A Dream of a Woman by Casey Plett. This is a collection of short stories that looks at the experience of mostly trans women in Canada in the like 2010s. There's something about a lot of these stories that was really, I don't want to say raw, that feels like not the right word, but digs into kind of hollow feelings and places and experiences. The characters all felt incredibly real and distinct, and the stories felt real and distinct. It's hard for me to enjoy a short story collection, so I found that this was really strong and made an impression on me. Okay, our last two, we have The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. This is historical fiction, historical fantasy. At the bookstore that I work at, it's shelved in fantasy, but I would shelve it in historical fiction. This is about a sister who is a nurse and recently was like discharged from her work during World War I because of an injury. And she is dealing with some feelings of like, what am I supposed to do now, of inactivity, being back at her home in Canada, in Halifax, I want to say. And she's living with these psychics who end up saying something in regards to her brother, who a mysterious like package has come and he's in the army. And she's like, I don't know where my brother is. I don't know what's going on. Some people are saying that he's dead, but I have reason to believe that they're like, that's not true. So she goes on this mission with this woman who works to garner donations for medical hospitals on the front. So she goes with this woman in attempts to search for her brother. So we're getting her perspective, and then we're also getting her brother's perspective in seeing what is happening to him and with him and in his narrative. This book also has an element of fantasy. There's this bar that shows up in the middle of nowhere, and takes soldiers in, and they meet this mysterious violinist who is very interesting, and I will leave it at that. I loved this book. I loved this book. I loved the audiobook. I I don't know if it made me cry. It probably did. I think about it and I feel like it made me cry. The love that this sister had for her brother was so intense, and the scenes of the, what did I call them? Not war hospitals, but did I say medical hospitals earlier? That was redundant. These war hospitals were intense without being gratuitous, I think. And yeah, again, I love historical fiction. What can I say? The last book, and I would say definitely my favorite, not by like leaps and bounds, but I feel like it's the book that resonated with me the most this year, and I read it at the very start of the year, is Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austen. This is about our main character who is dealing with really intense paranoia. She thinks that someone is trying to break into her apartment. She has this very, very real, well, she has this very severe paranoia and fear of bald men. And she is struggling to connect with other people. Everybody that she's seeing, all the women that she's seeing, she's only ever having like one night stands with them. And she's just getting into, the last person that she was seeing like somewhat regularly, like regularly for her, she gets a message from her wife being like, hey, why are you seeing my wife? And she's like, oh, yikes. And then ends up kind of having a relationship with this other woman. But the title of the book comes from our main character who, when her mom is having a bad time, or when she's like talking to her mom and unable to say anything else really, she'll just tell her about these interesting facts about space, because she is a like space data manager, I think. I just connected with this book a lot. It felt so real and so personal, and just spoke about like self-isolation and loneliness and the desire to connect with other people but not really knowing how, and just a lot of things that like got me. I did cry multiple times reading this book just because it felt so overwhelmingly real and so overwhelmingly true. Yeah, that's what I've got to say about that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what your favorite books that you read this year are, and I'll see you in the new year. What am I saying? This is gonna go up in the new year. Happy New Year! With that, I'll see you when I see you.